Hey guys!
Welcome to our video on tips for freshmen going into high school because we are seniors and school's basically over because Corona has destroyed our senior year.
So we will be talking, wait, what was I gonna say again? So we're gonna be talking about our high school experience from the perspective of two middle-class Asians, because that's what we are.
Tip 1.
Tip number 1 would be to join as many clubs as possible freshman year. And then later on, you can always quit the ones that you don't like. And the big reason for doing this is because that's like one way to find out what your passion is. Because I was really confused. I had no idea like what I wanted to do, what I even liked doing.
And this also prepares you to start your own club, which brings me to the second point. Tip 2. So you want to start your club as early as possible in sophomore and junior year, which allows you to put it on your college apps. For me, I started music club in junior year, and what we did was we basically put on musical performances for children and seniors in the community, and I was able to put that in my college apps and really elaborate that in my UC essays. Another tip for starting a club is make sure that you do a club that's useful and unique so that your club doesn't compete with similar clubs on campus, because people are less likely to join, especially if that previous club that I mentioned is much more established than you are. And secondly, you want a useful club, because if you start a club like don't start a club that's like donut eating club, because to admissions officers that doesn't look very useful. I would recommend starting something like I did, where you're helping the community, giving back to the community, and showing that you're someone that really cares about other people and that also demonstrates your leadership qualities.
So personally for me, an experience that I had was joining the academic decathlon. Now I joined that my freshman year because the topic was World War II, and I thought it was pretty cool. When I joined, it wasn't really anything. There were like 8 people, and our team always did bad. However, I stayed with the club. In my junior year, I was actually chosen to be president along with someone else. We were co-presidents. And from there, we actually qualified for states. And this was the first time our school actually ever qualified for states for the academic decathlon this past year. So yeah, that was pretty cool. Thank you, thank you. It made for a good leadership essay on the UC application.
Yes.
Tip 3. Join a sport for one season, like sophomore or junior year, just so you can make friends.
Even freshman year.
Oh yeah. And personally, I joined the track team my junior year, mostly because I needed PE credits. However, from there, I was able to make so many new friends.
And same for me, I did tennis. So what happened to me was I transferred from a middle school that was outside of the district. So coming into my high school, I didn't have a lot of friends. And when I did tennis sophomore year, I really found my friend group there, and that helped a lot with me in my social life. Tip 4. Deciding between the SAT and the ACT. So I took practice tests for both the ACT and the SAT, but I only ended up taking the ACT one time, and I never took the SAT officially. So one of the pros about the ACT is that it's much more straightforward than the SAT. So the SAT has a lot of word problems, which for me is really hard, especially with math, because I'm not good at math, and you really have to figure out what exactly they're asking you. And one of the other pros about the ACT is that it has the science section, which is essentially just interpreting graphs. So if you've taken any basic science class, and AP Bio especially, there's a lot of labs where you interpret graphs. So it's basically just that, and that's a very easy way to add up your score. So one of the cons with the ACT is that it's a real time crunch. So you need to really study a lot and make sure that you're not falling behind on any of the problems or getting stuck up on anything. On the ACT, there is the writing section, which is graded on a score from 0 to 12. I honestly didn't do very good on that. I got an 8. In fact, a lot of schools, they don't even look at it that much, and it doesn't affect your application. In the future, they're trying to waive it. So honestly, I wouldn't fail it, but also if you don't do too well on it, don't worry that much, because it's not going to ruin your admission chances that bad. It's really just a way for admission officers to gauge your writing level and compare it to your essays to make sure that you didn't pay someone to write your essays.
I also took the ACT. I took the SAT once. However, I saw it wasn't really for me, because even though I got a decent score, like I got an 800 in the math section, reading and writing scores were not very good. And I did do prep. In fact, I even took one of like the prep courses, and it didn't really help me. Like, the prep courses are kind of for people that they will always cater to like the median student. Like if a student is sort of good, it'll help those people quite a bit. However, for students that know a little bit more in terms of how to take it, however they need like a couple more tips or just a different strategy, it's not really for them. And if you're below the median line, then it might not be enough help. So I took the ACT, and the first 2 times I took it, I did study. I used practice books, and I just took practice tests and practice tests. SAT subject tests are pretty important, but it depends on your major. I'm an engineering major, so for me, especially subject tests are very important for like engineering and just like STEM majors in general. And I personally took the SAT Math 2 subject test and the chemistry subject test. And I scheduled these sort of strategically because I took my chemistry exam right after my IB chemistry SL test. So at this time, I'd gone through a full curriculum of chemistry. I knew literally everything. So that was the perfect time to take it.
So when you're deciding if or if not you should take SAT subject tests, I would always consult the colleges that you want to apply to, like what their requirements are, because every one of them is really different, especially if you're applying to private schools.
Yeah.
Unlike the UCs, they each have their own separate kind of requirements, and I would take tests that are more geared towards your major. For example, if you're going to major in drama, there's really no point for you to take a biology SAT subject exam, but anything beyond what they require is really just a application pattern, because remember, it'll never hurt you, it'll always at least help you a little bit.
And if you're a STEM major, take SAT subject tests. No question. Even if they say that it's not required, it's highly recommended.
Optional is always not optional. So I started studying for my ACT in the summer of my sophomore year, so before junior year, because I like to plan ahead, and I wanted to leave room in case I didn't do that well on my first one, so I could have more chances to try after. And I was lucky because the first time I took it, I got a 33, and for me that was satisfying enough. But honestly, looking back, I would have tried to aim for something better because that was only my first try. No one knows if I could have done better or not, and having a higher score never hurts you. Tip 5!
Summer of your junior year is, I'd say, the most important summer. That is the summer where you have to grind, because you have to make sure that anything that you think you're missing from your application gets done in that summer. So for us, we started our own what do you even call that? Like
Operation Paperback. And that was a
community service project?
Community service book drive that we did just to add on like as much as we could before we turned in our application. So this is the time for you to start thinking about your application and putting it together.
Yeah. And on top of that, personally, I did some coding classes at community college. So that was just so I could see that if I actually wanted to do what I thought I wanted to do.
And another thing you should do is interning. I took video production. I interned with a local broadcasting company, and that also, like she said, it helps you to figure out if the major that you're choosing is really right for you.
One thing that's really important for STEM majors is research. Now this, I'd say, was the biggest thing that I would say was lacking from my application, because I did not have much research. I had some independent experiments that I did, and there was one project with my school. However, it wasn't that official, and you want to try to get something sort of official in for your research. Now this could come throughout various avenues. You can apply for a summer program that is specifically geared towards researching and get it through there, or you could get it through some personal connections, email a professor. Now that doesn't always work because I emailed various professors.
So this entire time we've always been talking about college apps. In the end, if you're someone who's looking to go to college, really everything you do in high school is geared toward putting it on your application, trying to get into the college that you want. Tip 6! We talked, and one of our main mistakes, I think, when we were looking for colleges was not researching the colleges enough. So what we decided is that we applied to colleges really just because of the name of the college and because they're known to be good and have good programs, but we didn't actually know anything really in depth about the college, like the social life on the campus, the courses they have, the professors that they have. And this is extremely important when you're writing the supplemental essays, especially on the common application, because they ask you a lot with these private institutions, why do you want to come to this school? And for me, what I lacked was a very detailed response to that. I never specifically named any professors or courses or even events that I should have researched previously before writing that. Those essays are actually considered very heavily in accepting students to their school. So when it comes to your supplemental essays, so those are the ones that are asking why you want to come here, what you've heard about this school, and all that stuff, the little tiny details. You may think that it doesn't matter that much because it's on top of the main essay that you wrote for the Common App, but it actually does, because most institutions now, they look at your application holistically. So really be sure to put effort into everything you do in your application, and don't neglect one little part because you think it won't be significant, because in the end, it really comes down to those details when they choose who they want to accept to their college.
And also when you're choosing what college you want to apply to, try to see if you, I guess, quote unquote, vibe with the college. I think that one of the major parts about admissions and the admissions process is that admissions officers are going to see which students will vibe with the college the best, because each college has its own vibe. And they want to see if the students also have a similar energy so that, you know, they can come together in a nice way. Because at the end of the day, even though the student is getting educated by the college, it's also providing for the college by doing projects for it, by making its own club or doing something. And that way it's kind of like a relationship. It's like both parts are putting in effort. So that's why they really have to see if they're compatible or not.
So I just want to end this video on a happy note. Remember, you're gonna get some rejections, you're gonna get some acceptances. In the end, you're gonna end up right where you're supposed to be. And if not, you can always transfer into the college that you want. So I got into the University of California, Irvine, which is a really great school.
Oh, and I got into the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign.
And they're one of the top engineering schools, so that's really great for her. And
and she got Regent Scholarship for Irvine, literally.
I don't know how it happened. So just know that more and more students are applying every year. The competition's getting even greater every year. The acceptance rates are getting lower every year. So if you don't get in, it's not always on you. There's many other factors that are at play here. You just need to move on, learn from your mistakes, and just be yourself, because that's all you can really do in the end. And thanks for watching. Like and subscribe if you like this video. We might do more. We have a lot of time on our hands.
Coronacation!
Let's go!